So I came up there and they just told me like, Ignite, so they want to give you an opportunity. I got to really dominate.
Sterling Scoot Henderson, born February 3rd, 2004. Biggest reason so many want to write Scoot Henderson off already. After 17 games in the season, many basketball fans are already writing rookie number 3rd overall pick and expected Rookie of the Year candidate Scoot Henderson off after appearing in just 8 of those games. I never expected to write a Stunted Growth feature on Henderson, certainly not this soon, because for me, he was my pick after, of course, the generational Wembanyama to have the most successful career of his draft. And to be clear, this is not a Stunted Growth story in its full form. This is mainly to provide clarity on why basketball fans feel the way they do, and a chance to follow the career of a guy who, believe it or not, I still think has a Hall of Fame potential career in front of him, barring he could stay on the floor. I'd be lying if I said I didn't understand where fans are coming from in their frustrations with Henderson, because his play so far has been surprisingly poor and a shock seeing how ready he seemed even years ago leaving high school, certainly in the G League and right up to the point the season began. What makes fans move so fast in their judgment on this potential bust player is because it can't help but feel like we've seen the Scoot Henderson movie before. The athletic build point guard that jumps out the gym and plays aggressive on each play. It seems at some point all their bodies break down and they are highly susceptible to injuries. They just didn't expect it to be so soon for Scoot. But to me, it all makes sense and speaks to the world we live in now. The more we become a social society where the world can tune in and watch one person 24/7, the more you have the person being watched working to hold on to his audience. In basketball specifically, these new era players are like gods in the social atmosphere and work much harder on their games than they did before to perform well so they can continue being that and living that life. My theory is because of this, many more players over time are getting injured physically or breaking down mentally with all the pressure on them. Scoot Henderson was expected to go number 1 in the draft before Wembanyama emerged and before the Brandon Miller hype. Had Charlotte not already have a point guard, he'd be a Hornet today. He also took over a team one of the best point guards ever played, starred, and sacrificed for years. Those shoes bring a lot of pressure, even if he doesn't admit it. The work he probably puts in may have grave effects on his body and has helped him to the slow start he's having now. Whatever the case, facts are he's not playing as advertised, at 9 points a game, 4 assists and nearly as many turnovers, just 2 rebounds, as athletic as he is, 35% from the field and 22% from 3. It's all causing fans to write him off already as the next hyped bust. What's happening? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Scoot Henderson is a 6'3" point guard from Marietta, Georgia that was an advanced star almost from day one, as in his sophomore year in high school when he was scoring 50 points and hitting game winners. Besides all his info you can find online, Scoot from the eye test seemed to have all the ingredients to be next up. He was a big guard with muscular size and athleticism to run past and jump over defenders on the high school level. He had a balanced jump shot that already was a working machine and not like Derrick Rose, who needed extra work when he got to the NBA. What I liked most was Scoot was a competitor. He still is, but back then he was fierce and didn't give up an inch. Perfect temperament for a superstar point guard, at least for me. By junior year, he was so good and advanced, he reclassified to the 2021 class and decided to play in the G League instead of college. Reason number 1, many believed in Scoot. I believe the frustration with the way Scoot Henderson is playing this season is because many were convinced he would be the next great point guard since Ja Morant, and he hasn't looked anywhere close. Keep in mind, he only played 8 games or so this season, so technically in terms of the journey a season is, it's just getting started. All true, but let's understand the talent Henderson was. the Blazers felt comfortable moving on from their superstar point guard, who is still an all-star caliber point guard, to give Scoot the keys to the franchise and take them to the new era. I can't blame them because they had to do something to change the almost good enough stigma they've carried in the Damian Lillard era. Scoot was athletically matched up with just about any point guard in the league, and like mentioned, his dog mentality was a welcomed attribute you can't teach. He had everything there was to convince you to believe in him, but when the season began with him having 11 points, 4 assists, and going 0 for 3 from 3, it was unexpectedly poor and made worse by the games following, like a 7-point game, 4-point game, and 2 more 11-point games, all shooting and creating for his teammates at a rate not good enough in respects to the expectations of fans who believed in much more production. With Damian Lillard traded, it could have been a great situation for Henderson, where if he flourished, he would have been one of the biggest names in basketball. But of course he's not, and the backlash from it is just as strong against him. Reason number 2, his shooting. Another huge reason that has particularly turned many off from Henderson is his shooting thus far this season. That is another shock he's this poor when it comes to that area. I remember watching him in his workout splash 10 in a row and never looking like his form changed one time. If you look at his stats in the G League though, it may confuse you to see 47% in 22-23 and cause you to expect more from a player that's shooting 22% in the NBA currently and has 4 of the 8 games missing every 3 he's taken this season. He's only recently in the last 2 games upped his 3-point shooting percentage, going 3 for 4 and 2 for 3. Before then, he was shooting 2 for 24 from 3, good for just 8% from deep. This has affected his entire game because Scoot's game is predicated on him being able to get in the lane and drive the ball. Everything for him when he's got it going is downhill and at the rim for so many years to his success. But now being at the highest level where teams and coaches play world-class defense to stop the other team's star player, he's not been able to figure it out. Recently, he's gotten new contact lenses that he says helps him see better on the floor, and that may have helped him go 5 for 7 from 3 in his last 2 games since returning from the injury. If he can't figure out how to be effective from deep, he may never become the player the Blazers need him to be or that he wants to be, who can use fakes to keep defenses honest, opening up lanes for him to score or create for a teammate. Seeing him not being able to shoot has many fans ready to label him a bust already. Reason number 3, staying healthy. And lastly, like mentioned, we've seen this player build before and it hasn't went well over time. The dunker, athletic built point guards down the line of Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, and Ja Morant. Special and exciting talents, but have put in so much work on their bodies and pressure on their bones and joints to where it becomes difficult to sustain and breaks after a while. Breaks as in them becoming constantly injured and not able to have the career you should believe in or count on. Scoot has missed 9 games on the season due to an ankle sprain and bone bruise, and before that it was an injury in the summer league to his shoulder that shut him down. He can't stay on the floor, or at least that's what it seems like, and for fans, why root for a guy who's going to let you down at some point anyway? In that time off, Scoot said he got to learn a lot from Malcolm Brogdon and Skylar Mays running the Blazers offense and saw things he didn't see playing, so maybe the injury was a blessing in disguise for Scoot fans. But seeing him out there in goggles now, I must admit, it's not helping his case as looking like not an injury-prone player who always has some injury or physical issue in the way of him playing up to his potential. To state the obvious, he's only going to age from here. It's early, but if this is indication he'll struggle with games played, fans are prepared early not to be heartbroken when injuries really begin to plague him. All in all, it's still really early on Scoot Henderson, and like mentioned, I believe in his talent and will be watching and making videos on him throughout his career on his progress. So don't be surprised when a growth spurt on him hopefully shows up. He has Hall of Fame physical gifts. He just has to stay on the floor, has to work on his shot, and we have to give him more time to develop before he's called a bust just yet. Salute, much respect. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.